Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Breen. I'm with TAP Air Portugal, and I handle the Midwest for the company, the Midwest US, and I'm based out of Chicago. I thank you all for joining me here today and learning a little bit about TAP Air Portugal and our operations. Certainly appreciate it. And it's an exciting time for us here in Chicago because we are actually right on our 5th anniversary of when we started our nonstop flights to Chicago, to and from Chicago. And so actually tomorrow we're going to have a little celebration out at the airport and kind of relive that first day when the first plane came into the gate, which was a pretty wonderful thing. So I'd like to go ahead and I'm going to turn off my camera now and get started with our presentation. And what I'd like to do is start off by telling you a little bit about a background of TAP Air Portugal. So a lot of people are kind of new to TAP because we've historically been flying out of the East Coast of the US, but actually the airline has been around for a long time with continuous service for 79 years. So we've been flying for a long time. Our base of operations is Lisbon. So that's our hub as well. So as you're used to the airlines, let's say in the United States, where American and United will have a hub and spoke system, that's the way that we work as well. And our hub is again based out of Lisbon, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that airport's like for you and for your clients when they fly through there. So TAP, we're a little bit of a, we're a smallish airline, I suppose you could say, for an international airline, but we really get around. We have 92 destinations in over 36 countries. And in 2019, and again this year, we flew just about 16 million people on TAP Air Portugal. So certainly have had our flight loads increase after our little setback that we all had a few years back, and things have come back strong, and we're very thankful for that. So we have 9 gateway cities out of North America, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And we're also our frequent flyer program is called Miles and Go, and it is part of Star Alliance. So any of your clients who have any kind of loyalty program with any of these airlines, of course, we can use those miles for things on TAP, and they can use TAP miles on for these other airlines as well. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what to expect when you fly on TAP Air Portugal. Our fleet is one of the youngest in the business. Most of our aircraft are about 5 years old or less. And what that kind of means for you when you fly on TAP is that you're going to have a very modern, very efficient aircraft to fly on. These aircraft have, the latest in technology and excellent entertainment systems as well. I've flown on a lot of different airlines in my career, and I can tell you this is one of the best I've ever seen. And each seat has a touch screen TV on the front, and the entertainment system again is wonderful with the different movies and the different TV shows and even even programs about Portugal, so that you can kind of get a little bit of a preview before you land. So that's pretty excellent. And our aircraft are all Airbus. And at this point, I'm going to show you just a little bit of a video that's going to show you a little bit about the inside of our A330neo. Our A330neo is our wide-body, long-range aircraft, and we'll get started on that right now. Just a moment. Okay, thank you. So that is that gives you a little bit of a preview of what to expect when you're inside the A330neo, and it's a beautiful plane to fly in. Every time I've been on it, it's just been a wonderful ride. Very quiet. As you can see, the lie flat seats in business class are super comfortable. We have an amenity kit that comes with that for your clients, and also a pillow and a comforter and things like that. So it's a very nice way to head across the pond. When you go back into coach, as you can see, the interior configuration on the A330neo is a 2-4-2 configuration. So you're never more than one seat away from an aisle, which is pretty nice. Some of the airlines have large planes that have large middle sections, and to be kind of stuck in the middle there, which I've done a couple of times, can be a little bit inconvenient when everyone's sleeping. So that's the configuration of the aircraft. I usually try to, if you have two people, try to get them on the 2-seat side by the window in the aisle, and that's very comfortable. So also in coach, you'll notice that there were 2 different types of seats. So the first 16 rows or so, give or take, depending on the plane, are what we call comfort seating. So those seats have a little bit more recline, and they have a little bit more leg room than regular economy. But I can tell you that even in regular economy on our aircraft, we have enough room so that your knees aren't hitting the front of the seat, when you're in economy. So it's a comfortable configuration, and one that certainly I'd like to have you see soon if you're lucky enough to win that one ticket that we're giving away. So out of the East Coast, we also fly the A321 long range Neo. This aircraft we took delivery of back in 2019, and other airlines are now starting to put this into play as well. The reason being is it's a super efficient aircraft, and it's very capable of long range flying as well as domestic flying. So it's kind of a flexible aircraft as well. This plane I've flown on as well, and I've also walked through them in our hangar in Lisbon, Portugal. And I've sat in every seat on this plane just to see what it was like. And again, very comfortable. And again, in first class or in executive class, you also have the lie flat seats as well. Talking about our North American gateways, again, 5 years ago, we opened up 3 new gateways in North America. And prior to that, we were out of the East Coast. But going from west to east, we fly these are all nonstop flights, by the way, to Lisbon. So we fly from San Francisco, we fly from Chicago, we fly from Washington, D.C., Dulles Airport, that is. We fly from Newark, New Jersey, we fly from New York, JFK, and Boston and Miami. And then out of Canada, we fly from Toronto and Montreal. Some of these gateways have more frequency than others, but currently, for instance, in Chicago, I have 5 nonstop flights a week for high season. This tells you a little bit about our schedule. So we do change a little bit in the winter and then the summer, again, due to the high season. And so again, you'll be able to see that in the summer we have some of our gateways have multiple flights a day, and then some have several flights a week. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the frequency that we do fly. Now, one thing, I think that you've probably all heard rumblings and about Portugal, and I'd say about 5 years ago when I started with the company, not too many people knew about Portugal, and it was a little bit of a flyover country, I'd call it. People going to Spain and going to Italy and elsewhere within Europe. But certainly it has been discovered in a big way. And as you can see by these survey results that I compiled for you here today, looking at these different companies that did the surveys, those were their top 10s of where people wanted to go in 2023. And as you can see, we're in good company, but Lisbon, Portugal, and the Alentejo in Portugal are all are all on that top 10 list. So people have found that flying to Portugal is it's an easy way to start out if you're new to flying to Europe, or if you're a seasoned veteran flying to Europe. It's also a great place to now discover as well. Things that people say about it is that it's authentic. You feel safe there. Almost everybody speaks English that you'll run into. If you're a driver and you want to drive a rental car, you drive on the same side of the road as we do here in the US, and the same side of the car as well. I've done that myself, and it was very easy to do. And just the history, just everything that you can get out of a vacation to Portugal is pretty wonderful, considering the country is about the size of Indiana. So it's a small country, but every part of it is different than the last. So it's quite an amazing place to see. Now, in talking a little bit about our hub, the hub airport in Lisbon is very close to the downtown area. So if you have time, or if you're going to do a stopover, which I'll talk about a little bit later, really to get to downtown is about it's under a half hour easily. Usually I can make it in about 15 minutes or so by Uber. If I take the subway, it's about 25 minutes. And the subway comes right out to the airport as well. And it's a really modern airport. It has a great food court that's there. All the flights from TAP Air Portugal and Star Alliance will arrive and depart from one terminal, so you don't have to worry too much about those connections. And also we have a lounge there, which is our flagship lounge. And it's a huge area where you can eat and drink, and a lot of different seating opportunities. So if you want to just relax, if you want to do work, if you want to eat, it's a wonderful place to spend some time. And one thing I do mention to people, even though this is included in a lot of our fares, if your clients have time in the airport there, let's say they have a longer layover, it's certainly worthwhile just purchasing a pass for the lounge, because again, it's a very comfortable place to spend some time. And I would say that even though the prices are somewhat flexible, it's around 45 euros to go to the lounge, which, and to me, if you're going to be at the airport for more than 3-4 hours, it's money well spent. Now, there's one thing to mention as well. Our flagship lounge is right above the food court areas and right after you go through security and through duty free. We just opened up a second lounge. So if you happen to be familiar, if you've ever been to Lisbon and the airport before, a lot of people will be in the food court area and things like that, and expect to just be able to run right down to the gate when it's time for them to depart. But there's passport control still that you have to go through. And from time to time, as you know, when you're flying internationally, lines can, depending on how many departures are going at the same time and things like that, lines at passport control can be a little bit daunting. So we built a second lounge after passport control. So between passport control and our gates, we built a second lounge, which is smaller than our flagship lounge, but still has multiple different seating areas, and again, food and drinks, and even areas where you can just relax, take a nap or something like that. And that, again, that's after passport control and before the gates. Now, talking a little bit about our destinations. So many people know that that Lisbon is the closest point in Europe to the United States. So it's a nice quick flight from any of our North American gateways. And then if you're going beyond Portugal to anywhere else that we fly, you'll see that we fly all over Europe. So Portugal, our hub, is a place that you can go through and then go to any of these other destinations. We fly to coastal areas in Northern Africa. We fly to, again, just about everywhere in Western Europe and a couple places in Eastern Europe. And we also fly from Portugal to Brazil, and we're the largest carrier in between those two countries as well. So you'll even notice that we fly to all 3 airports in London. We fly to London City, we fly to London Heathrow, and we fly to London Gatwick, which is a little bit unusual for an airline, but we have a very good reputation or very good relation with England, and so we fly to all 3 of those airports as well. Now, one thing you can do, since you're stopping in Portugal on the way to any of other destinations within Europe, we have a stopover program, which is very popular. It started out as a stopover program with 3 nights, and then we upped it to 5 nights. And I was thinking that's good enough, but then we went a little bit further with it, and you can stay for up to 10 nights in Portugal as you travel to or from your final destination. So that gives you 2 destinations for the price of 1. It basically gives you 2 vacations in 1. And again, in 10 days in Portugal, you could really get around and see a lot of things. I'm going to show you a little recording, also a little video recording about what you can expect when you do the stopover program. Okay, so that's just a little teaser, I suppose, to show you some scenes in Portugal for the stopover program. As you noticed, it had FlyTap on there, but this is available through Centrav and through the GDS, so you're able to book a stopover easily in those places. So another thing too, to just mention about the stopover, we also have an app. So if your clients are doing the stopover, they can have a stopover tap app on their phone, and it'll tell them about different discounts that we've negotiated with hotels and restaurants and things like that for while they're there for their up to 10 evenings. Talking a little bit about the different brands that we have. So we have a lot of different ways that we have a lot of flexibility, I guess you should say, for how you can fly when you're with TAP. We have the discount product, which I often, you can kind of call that the backpacker type of fare, where you have space on that aircraft, but you don't have checked baggage and you don't have a seat and things like that until, of course, you're checking in the night before. And then you can purchase those other items as well if you have a discount. And then we go all the way up through the different fares until top executive, which is kind of carte blanche, and you can kind of do whatever you want when you have the top executive fare. So those are the different ways that you can fly on TAP. The TAP Plus is the one where you get a lot if you're in coach on TAP Plus, because you have what we call fast track, which is like it's a quick way to get around in the airport and cut in front of lines and things like that when you're in Europe. You also have premium boarding, so that you're one of the first people to get on board the aircraft, and priority check-in, and as you can see, 2 pieces of checked luggage as well, which, as you all know, checked luggage on international flights can get expensive. So those are all things to weigh when someone's looking at flying on TAP. You should look at what's involved with each one of these fares so that you can determine, perhaps it's worthwhile to spend a little bit more money up front and then not have to keep spending more money later on to do the things that you want to do. We do have an agent website that I want to draw your attention to. This is strictly for travel agents, and it will have all the different questions. It has all the frequently asked questions in it. It'll also have like a header on there that will tell you what the latest and greatest news is, who's on strike, or what airport is closed, or things like that. So we usually have that as your first point of contact. As you're trying to ask a question about TAP, you can see if it's easily answered there. And if not, of course, you can go ahead and check with us as well, or check with Centrav. Now, this is the contact information that I have for you. So again, I'm your key account manager out of the Midwest. If you're in any area that's outside of the Midwest, which is from the Dakotas all the way over to Ohio, and from Minnesota all the way down to Oklahoma. If you're outside of those areas and would like to know who your key account manager is, please just drop me a note and I will introduce you to your key account manager for the West, for the East, or for the South, or for Canada. So that's pretty much it as far as what I have to show you today. What I'd like to do now is find out if you have any questions. So I'm going to open up my question panel. And if you have any questions to ask me, please go ahead and do that. We'll answer questions as long as possible for this session. And then any that I don't get to, I can do that afterwards and get back to you individually.
Why don't we go ahead and see what we got for questions, Jack?
Sure. So I have a few questions about the stopover. So let me kind of go a little bit more into detail on that. And so the stopover is a program that when people were first going through Portugal to other areas within Europe, we thought of a way that we could perhaps add value to that trip, and perhaps find out if you'd like to spend some time in Portugal as well. And so that's when we came up with the stopover program. And again, it started out as just 3 days and then 5, and now it's up to 10. So the way that it works is, if you're, let's say, for instance, an example would be if you're heading to Madrid on TAP. So you're flying from Chicago to Madrid, you can choose to do the stopover either on the way to or on the way from Madrid. So you could go direct over to Madrid. You could make your stop in Portugal and then continue on that same day, or you could do your stopover then. So you can do it on the way to or on the way from. And then as well as if we have a flight out of the East Coast going through to Porto, you can stop in Porto as well. So it's Lisbon or Porto. And again, it's a wonderful program. A lot of people are taking advantage of it. And certainly, again, for that amount of time, you can pretty much get from border to border, north, south, east, and west within Portugal. So I had a couple other questions as well. And I'm trying to see if I can get this a little bit larger here. Let's see, just a second. Someone asked if you can stop both outbound and return, and no, it would be one or the other. And we don't have a stopover in the Azores. That's a great question, because for those of you who don't know the Azores, those are Portuguese islands that are almost in the middle of the Atlantic between the US and Portugal. And we don't have a stopover there, largely because of the fact that we don't really have too many flights direct to the Azores. We had a flight out of Boston to the Azores, but I don't believe that is going at the moment. So you would have to go to Portugal and then come back to the Azores. So that's why we wouldn't have a stopover there. Someone asked about the difficulty in transferring within the airport. That has been improved. As you could see, we come in and out of Terminal 1, so certainly it's a lot easier than it used to be. From time to time, there will be a bus that will the large departure and arrival buses that will either pick you up or drop you off at your aircraft. But whenever there's a gate available, the aircraft is going to go directly into the gate. So you'll be stepping right off the plane, and then you'll be going right through customs and passport control, and then on your way. We do have blankets and pillows in economy as well. That's what someone just asked. So it's the more like those felt blankets that you normally are used to within economy, and the small white pillow. So we do have those as well in economy, and they're sealed so that you know that they've been cleaned and everything since the last flight. And as far as in-flight services, yes, meals and drinks are complimentary in coach and of course in executive class. And they usually have, from the US to Portugal, that they have 2 meal services. So as soon as you get on board the aircraft, and as soon as things level out, then usually you'll have your dinner at that point. And then closer to arrival, there'll be another, like a snack or a breakfast for you to eat right before you arrive. And we do have group discounts as well. So we do have a group desk that works with Centrav, and we consider anytime there's over 10 people, we could consider it a group and give you a special fare or a special quote for that group as well. Someone asked what peak season is. So peak season is kind of starting about now. So I would say peak season starts in June. It goes through July, August, and then you're starting to get back into your shoulder season in Portugal, which is September, October. So your shoulder seasons would be, April, May, and then September, October. But I can tell you this, I've been in Portugal myself many times in the middle of winter, and even in December and January in Portugal, really the temperature is it's pretty easy going. You can wear just a light jacket or a sweatshirt or something like that and be very comfortable. I'm asked that often for people who want to go golfing in Portugal, because you can golf all year round in Portugal, unlike some of the other European destinations. You can golf all year round, and again, just wear like a light jacket. So the purchase of a pass for the lounges will allow you to go into both lounges. That's not a problem. When you purchase a pass for a lounge, it goes right onto your boarding card, so that sticks with you until you enter the aircraft. We do have baggage rules and regulations, of course, just like all airlines. So someone asked what the largest bag was that you can carry on. We have all of that listed on FlyTap, where you can go in and just research, what the bag is, what the largest bag we can take, and what the weight of the bag is. And I know that they just, using European regulations, they just modified that just slightly. And there's a maximum weight of the largest carry-on bag you can bring on. And then after that, if it's super heavy and super large, then we ship that cargo. But if it's a normal sized bag, and it's underneath the limit of how heavy it can be, that's your carry-on bag. Now, someone also asked about bidding on executive class seats. This is something that we do with a company called Seat Boost. It's a third-party company, and if you're flying on TAP, you will notice that they will contact you sometime leading up to the flight and just ask if you'd want to be involved in bidding for executive class. They will also be in the lounge sometimes, promoting that as well in the lounge at the airport. And from time to time, I've heard some really good deals that people have gotten with Seat Boost. Again, because it's usually last minute. If the seats are open, then they're trying to fill that seat, and sometimes that bid is accepted, and sometimes it's a great deal. Someone again asked about the fee to access the lounge if you're in economy, and I've seen it recently at about 45 euros. So, and right now the euro is very close to the dollar, so there's not much of a difference there. So let's just say 45 to 50 US to get into the lounge. Again, money well spent if you're going to be there for a little while. So the aircraft used between, someone asked about the aircraft that's used between Dulles, Washington Dulles and Lisbon. That would be the A321neo. So that's that newer narrow body long range aircraft that I had shown during the presentation. And again, very comfortable for long range and very efficient plane that is able to be used in other routes as well. And someone else asked about the duty-free shopping in the terminal. So the way that the duty-free shopping is, as soon as you go through security in the Lisbon terminal, you are in duty-free. So you kind of wind your way through it till you get out to the gate. It's an excellent duty-free shopping experience. I know that I always buy things myself on the way through it, and the prices are not completely outrageous like they are in some places. I usually pick up maybe a bottle of wine and some olive oil on the way home, and it's pretty reasonable. But it's a very large duty-free area. And then as soon as you exit the duty-free area, again, you're in a huge food court area, which is kind of circular in shape and has a lot of tables and things in the middle. So you can get pretty much any kind of food, from fast food all the way up into, you know, handmade sandwiches and things like that as well. Someone here is also asking about whether it's easy to get downtown for a layover in Portugal. And again, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can either jump right on the tube, the subway that runs from the airport directly to anywhere you want to go within Lisbon. You can also come right out and jump in a taxi, or you can. There's an actual Uber lot that they made recently, so that you don't even have to go outside. You can walk into an indoor lot and catch an Uber there as well. That used to be across from the terminal, so if it was raining or something like that, it wasn't that convenient, but that's been changed. And Uber, I find the Uber to be much less expensive than the US. I think that's probably because there's not so many taxes and things attached to it. But generally, I've been able to get downtown in an Uber for about 10 US, you know, about 10 euros, 10, 12 euros or so. But it's certainly been easy to do.